We have finished reading chapter 1 and we have done a summary of the chapter 1. Today, we are going to move on to chapter 2, the bringer of light. Introduction. The picture of the human condition that emerges from the Nikayas, as sketched in the preceding chapter, is the background against which the manifestation of the Buddha in the world acquires a heightened and deepened significance. Unless we view the Buddha against this multi-dimensional background, extending from the most personal and individual exigencies of the present to the vast impersonal rhythms of cosmic time, any interpretation we may arrive at about his role is bound to be incomplete. Far from capturing the viewpoint of the compilers of the Nikayas, our interpretation will be influenced as much by our own presuppositions as by theirs, perhaps even more so. Depending on our biases and predispositions, we may choose to regard the Buddha as a liberal ethical reformer of a degenerate Brahmanism, the first one. The second one as a great secular humanist. The third one as a radical empiricist. The fourth one as an existential psychologist. The fifth one as the proponent of a sweeping agnosticism. And the last one, as the precursor of any other intellectual fashion that meets our fancy. The Buddha who stares back at us from the text will be too much of a reflection of ourselves, too little an image of the enlightened one. Okay, let's take a look. There's a few difficult words. Exigencies. Let's take a look at this. Exigency. Okay. An urgent need or demand is the definition. Okay, let's take a look at the first line first. The picture of the human condition, which is explained in the previous chapter, is the background, Bhikkhu Bodhi says. Yeah, a necessary background against which the Buddha arises in the world. The manifestation of the Buddha in the world acquires a heightened and deepened significance. Yeah. So how does it link? It's because of our human condition, then the Buddha arises and helps us to expound the teaching that can help to overcome the human condition. So this is the background that Bhikkhu Bodhi is talking about. If we don't use this as the background of why the Buddha appears, then we might see the Buddha in an incomplete manner. Any interpretation that we may arrive at about the Buddha's role will be incomplete. If you recall, this is similar to the essay that we read, to take refuge in the Buddha. What does it really mean? If we don't use this as the background to view the role of the Buddha, far from capturing the viewpoints of the compilers of the Nikaya, our interpretation will be influenced by our own presuppositions. Let's take a look at what does presuppositions mean. A thing tacitly assumed beforehand at the beginning of a line of argument or course of action. Yeah. We already have our own assumption beforehand, and then we interpret the Buddha in this way. Depending on our biases, predispositions. Yeah, this is, okay, let's define this. Predisposition. A liability or tendency to suffer from a particular condition, hold a particular attitude, or act in a particular way. Our tendencies, our biases. So some people would view the Buddha as a liberal, ethical reformer of a degenerate Brahmanism, a great secular humanist, radical empiricist, existential psychologist, proponent of a sweeping agnosticism, or as the precursor of any other intellectual fashion that meets our fancy. The point here is we may interpret the Buddha wrongly if we don't use the background of the human condition when we read the sutta about the Buddha. The Buddha who stares back at us will be too much of a reflection of ourselves instead of an actual image of the enlightened one. Okay, next paragraph. Sister Lin Tai, would you like to read?
Perhaps in interpreting a body of ancient religious literature, we can never fully avoid inserting ourselves and our own values into the subject we are interpreting. However, though we may never achieve perfect transparency, we can limit the impact of personal bias upon the process of interpretation by giving the words of the text due respect. When we pay this act of homage to the Nikayas, when we take seriously their own account of the background to the Buddha's manifestation in the world, we will see that they ascribe to his mission nothing short of a cosmic scope against the background of a universe with no conceivable bounds in time, a universe within which living beings enveloped in the darkness of ignorance wander along bound to the suffering of old age, sickness, and death. The Buddha arrives as the torchbearer of humankind, bringing the light of wisdom. In the words of text 2:1, his arising in the world is the manifestation of great vision, of great light, of great radiance. Having discovered for himself the perfect peace of liberation, he kindles for us the light of knowledge, which reveals both the truth that we must see for ourselves and the path of practice that culminates in this liberating vision.
Thanks, Sister Lin Tai. Let's read footnotes number 1. Bringing the light of wisdom. Torchbearer of humankind is taken from Sutta Nipata, verse 335. Okay, let's take a look again at this paragraph. Okay. When interpreting a body of ancient religious literature, Bhikkhu Bodhi says, we can never fully avoid, perhaps, inserting ourselves and our own values into the subject we are interpreting. However, while we may never achieve perfect transparency, we can still limit the impact of our personal bias upon the process of interpretation. How? By giving the words of text due respect. Okay, let me highlight this. How to give the text due respect? When we pay this act of homage to the Nikayas, we take seriously their own account of the background to the Buddha's manifestation in the world. And then we will start to see they ascribe to his mission nothing short of a cosmic scope. We highlight this. Blue. Let's take a look at what is cosmic. The first definition of relating to the universe or cosmos, especially as distinct from the earth. The second one, inconceivably vast. So the mission, a universal mission, or it could be a very large scope of a mission, against the background of a universe with no conceivable bounds in time. And a universe within which living beings enveloped in darkness of ignorance wander along, bound to the suffering of old age, sickness, and death, which was the background established by Bhikkhu Bodhi in the first chapter, the human condition. And this is why the Buddha arrives as the torchbearer of humankind, bringing the light of wisdom. Okay, any question or comments so far for these two paragraphs? Okay, if not, we can continue reading. Sister Choi Kwon, would you like to read?
According to Buddhist tradition, the Buddha Gautama is not merely one unique individual who puts in an unprecedented appearance on the stage of human history and then bows out forever. He is rather the fulfillment of a primordial archetype, the most recent member of a cosmic dynasty of Buddhas constituted by numberless perfectly enlightened ones of the past and sustained by perfectly enlightened ones continuing indefinitely onward into the future. Early Buddhism, even in the archaic root texts of the Nikayas, already recognizes a plurality of Buddhas who all conform to certain fixed patterns of behavior, the broad outlines of which are described in the opening sections of the Mahapadana Sutta, Dika Nikaya 14, not represented in the present anthology. The word Tathagata, which the text used as an epithet for a Buddha, points to this fulfillment of a primordial archetype. The words means both the one who has come thus, Tathagata, that is, who has come into our midst in the same way that the Buddhas of the past have come, and the one who has gone thus, Tathagata, that is, who has gone to the ultimate peace, Nibbana, in the same way that the Buddhas of the past have gone.
Thanks, Sister Choi Kwon. The Buddha Gautama, the third paragraph says, is not merely a one unique individual who puts in an unprecedented appearance on the stage of human history, and then just bows out forever. But he is also one of the many Buddhas. He is a fulfillment of a primordial archetype. Let's take a look at this word. Existing from the beginning of time, primeval, basic and fundamental. In the earliest stage of development, I think it will be more on the second definition, basic and fundamental. Let's take a look at this. Archetype, a very typical example of a certain person or thing, an original that has been imitated, a recurrent symbol or motif in literature, art, or mythology. the last definition, a primitive mental image inherited from the earliest human ancestors and supposed to be present in the collective unconscious. So here the text says the Buddha is a fulfillment of a certain pattern or image expected, an image expected of the enlightened ones. So here, the Buddha Gautama is the most recent member of a cosmic dynasty of Buddhas, constituted by numberless perfectly enlightened ones of the past, and sustained by perfectly enlightened ones, continuing indefinitely onward into the future. So there will be a future Buddha, is what this text says, and there have been many past Buddhas in the since the beginningless of time. The word Tathagata here, you will encounter this word often in the sutta. Tathagata is used as an epithet. Let's take a look. Epithet means an adjective or descriptive praise expressing a quality characteristics of the person or thing mentioned, used as the description of the Buddha. Here, the word can mean both the one who has come thus, Tata Agata, that is, who has come into our midst in the same way that the Buddhas of the past have come. The second definition, the one who has gone thus, Tata Gata, that is, the one who has gone to the ultimate peace, Nibbana, in the same way that the Buddha of the past have gone. Okay, I think this is a good time to stop. Any questions or comments? Okay, if not, let's do a dedication. Yen xiao san zhang zhu fan na, yen de zhe hui zhen ming le, pu yen ji zhang si xiu chu, shi shi chang xing pu sa tao. Amitabha. Till we meet again, may we be guided by the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.